What if the oldest stories ever told were actually lessons for your life today? Myths aren't just ancient entertainment. They're the first form of psychology. Warnings, maps, mirrors. Today, I'll tell you 5 powerful mythological stories from different cultures. These tales have survived for centuries, not because they're old, but because they're true to the human experience. Let's dive in. Our first myth takes us to ancient Greece, a story about a man whose punishment became his identity, and possibly his transcendence. Sisyphus was the king of Corinth, known for his intelligence and cunning, but he was also arrogant, deceitful, and obsessed with outsmarting the gods. When Thanatos, the god of death, came to claim him, Sisyphus tricked him and bound him in chains. No one could die. Warriors struck down on battlefields lived on in agony. The world teetered on imbalance. Finally, Ares, the god of war, freed Thanatos, and Sisyphus was captured. But he wasn't done. Before dying, Sisyphus told his wife not to bury him properly. When he arrived in the underworld, he pleaded to Hades and Persephone, claiming he had to return to punish his wife for her neglect. They agreed. Once back in the land of the living, Sisyphus refused to return. He lived out the rest of his life, mocking death, until finally the gods punished him with the cruelest of fates. He would push a boulder up a steep hill, and every time it reached the top, it would roll back down. For eternity. To many, this is the ultimate futility, a metaphor for our meaningless grind. But philosopher Albert Camus saw something else. He saw the absurdity of life itself and how we face it. One must imagine Sisyphus happy, because if you choose the struggle, it no longer controls you. You control it. Have you ever worked at a job where your efforts are erased every day? Ever exercised or studied without seeing results, wondering if it matters? That is your boulder. And every step you take, even knowing it may fall again, is your defiance, your discipline, your transcendence. Story 2: Hanuman and the Mountain. In the East, the monkey god Hanuman is beloved, not for power or wealth, but for his unwavering devotion. In the Ramayana, an epic thousands of years old, Prince Rama's brother Lakshmana is struck by a divine weapon and lies dying. There is only one cure, a rare herb called Sanjeevani, which grows in the Himalayas. Time is short. No one knows the way, but Hanuman does not hesitate. He enlarges his body, utters Rama's name, and leaps into the sky. The journey is treacherous. Mountains, demons, storms. At one point, a mountain spirit stops him, testing his humility. Another time, a demon swallows him whole, thinking to trap him. Hanuman escapes every obstacle not through violence, but wisdom. He outwits enemies, calms spirits, and flies on. Finally, he reaches the mountain, but there are hundreds of herbs, and no time to determine which one is Sanjeevani. What does he do? He uproots the entire mountain and carries it across the skies back to the battlefield. Because failure is not an option when your motivation is love. Hanuman embodies bhakti, pure devotion. No ego, no hesitation. He does not seek praise. He only asks, "How can I serve?" That's the kind of discipline that doesn't need reminders, doesn't need morning routines or motivational quotes. It just is. When you believe in something greater than yourself, family, honor, duty, you can lift mountains too. Now, let's travel far north, into the icy darkness of Inuit mythology. A story told in hushed tones. A story of pain and transformation. Sedna was a young woman who refused all suitors. Her father grew desperate to marry her off. One day, a stranger came, offering furs, fish, and promises of a comfortable life. She was taken away to his island, only to learn the truth. He was no man. He was a bird spirit in disguise. His home was a barren rock. Sedna cried out. Her father, ashamed and afraid, came to rescue her, but the bird spirit followed. As they escaped by kayak, a great storm rose. The father, fearing for his life, did the unthinkable. He threw his daughter into the freezing sea. When she tried to climb back into the boat, he cut off her fingers. One by one, Sedna sank. Her fingers became the seals, the whales, and all the creatures of the ocean. Sedna herself became the goddess of the sea. She went from powerless girl to the sovereign of the deep. But she is not always kind. When hunters disrespect the ocean, she withholds her creatures. Shamans must comb her hair, tangled with pain and betrayal, to soothe her spirit. Sedna teaches us that trauma is real, and lasting, and sacred, but also that it can become the source of our power. If you've been betrayed, used, hurt, that pain does not make you less. It may be what makes you divine. From darkness to light, literally. In Japanese mythology, Amaterasu is the goddess of the sun. Her story begins in peace, but descends into shadow. Her brother, Susanoo, was wild, a storm god, chaotic, violent, impulsive. One day, in a fit of rage, he destroyed Amaterasu's sacred spaces. He shattered her weaving rooms, killed her maidens. Traumatized, Amaterasu fled into a cave and sealed it shut. With her light gone, the world became cold and dark. Crops died. Chaos reigned. The gods grew desperate. They gathered at the cave and devised a plan. One goddess began a wild, lewd dance. The others laughed and sang. Amaterasu, curious, peeked out. The gods held up a mirror, and Amaterasu saw herself, radiant, powerful, beautiful. She stepped out, and the light returned. This myth is about trauma, retreat, and rebirth. Sometimes we shut ourselves away after harm. We isolate. We hide. But healing often requires community, laughter, music, and mirrors. Mirrors that remind us of our light. Finally, we return to Greece, to a rebel, a giver, a sufferer. Prometheus was a titan who loved humanity, but we were cold, weak, and afraid. Zeus had hidden fire from us. Prometheus defied him. He climbed Mount Olympus, stole fire from the gods, and gifted it to mankind. With fire, we forged tools, cooked food, built civilizations. Zeus was enraged. As punishment, he chained Prometheus to a rock. Every day, an eagle came to tear out his liver. Every night, it regrew, endless torment. And yet, Prometheus did not regret it, because he had given us the means to grow. Fire is not just flame. It is knowledge, will, creativity, rebellion. Every time you speak a difficult truth, you steal fire. Every time you stand for what's right, despite the cost, you are Prometheus. Discipline means accepting the pain that comes from doing what matters. Sacrifice, when chosen freely, becomes sacred. Five myths, 5 mirrors. Sisyphus teaches us to embrace our labor. Hanuman shows us the power of selfless action. Sedna reminds us that pain can make us sovereign. Amaterasu teaches us to heal and rise again. Prometheus shows us that sacrifice is the price of fire. These stories endure because they are us. You don't need to believe in gods to walk like one. Pick your myth and walk it. This is Discipline Pathfinder. Ancient wisdom, modern strength. Like and subscribe, and walk with discipline.